back to English. به فارسی، auf Deutsch, en français. And you just keep doing this تا وقتی که حس کنید du kannst das alles schaffen sans silence. And then you just go back و دوباره انجام میدی اون nochmal et une autre fois. Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. Tonight we are talking about an interesting topic, but I think it also might be a bit niche. But if you're a bilingual, trilingual, polyglot, anything you are, if you speak more than one language, a lot of people struggle with mixing up the languages. And someone asked me before how I don't mix up my languages, and this video is about that. Disclaimer, none of the things that I will say in this video are like a guarantee that you will not mix up 100%, because like the more you know, the more they're gonna overlap, and you may from time to time mix them up, but that doesn't mean that you would be mixing them up all the time. You know what I mean? So this video is about how to generally put them aside. Now, scientifically, all your languages are stored in the same part of your brain. That's why these overlaps happen. But how can you avoid them? Just like anything and everything else, if you practice it, your brain will make the connections that will help you not mix up your languages. Now, when I say practice, I mean you need to specifically practice not mixing up your languages. How to do it? We're going to see together. So, number one, I think this is the most effective one, and it's also the one that I do, but now I'm gonna make it like an easier version of it. So basically the way I practice it is I change my languages, but I change them on demand, like with a thought. But because of this video, because you're not in my head, I will show it with like a snap, and I will demonstrate what I mean. So for example, first of all, I will lower my speed. Now I'm starting to speak in a much lower speed than I usually do. حالا زبونم رو عوض میکنم و همچنان با سرعت آرومتر و شمرده‌تری دارم صحبت میکنم. Jetzt, wenn ich mache das nochmal, ich spreche Deutsch et je parle français aussi. And now back to English. به فارسی, auf Deutsch, en français. And you just keep doing this تا وقتی که حس کنید du kannst das alles schaffen sans silence. And then you just go back و دوباره انجام میدی اون nochmal et une autre fois. Now, the thing and the idea behind this is that whenever you snap, you switch. And sometimes, especially in the beginning, you need to think about it, so you wouldn't be like ta 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 and just going on, but it would be like یه جوری مثل این، یکم آرومتر، یکم به خودت زمان بده که جمله بندی کنی. Weil die Sätze in verschiedenen Sprachen auch eine verschiedene Reihenfolgen. Es est peut-être très difficile pour chaque personne to remember. So, this is how I would practice it, number one. And eventually, you have to do it without the snap, 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 but just do it in your head. Like, be like, okay, now, switch, 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 mentally though. Because you don't want to be in public, just, you know, obviously not. The second strategy also helps with this, it's in the same family, is to think before you speak. So especially if your language is like a newer language, for example my French, because I've learned it recently, it's not as automatic as my English, for example, not even as much as my German, right? So before I start a sentence, I think about it and just like a rough estimate of how the sentence would look like. Because something that I did was I would mix the order of the sentence between German and French. Not in the sense that I would speak German in a French order, but I would speak French in a German order. So I would put the verb at the end of the sentence, which is not what you want to do in like a normal sentence just because you said because in German when you use weil, then you have to put your verb at the end of the sentence. But when you use parce que, which is why, but in French you don't need to do that. So just like a rough estimate of what's going on. So that's what I mean when I say think before you speak it. Last but not least, the very important thing is to practice specifically the things that you change. I assume that you know about false friends. These are the words that sound similar in between languages, but they mean completely different things. That is obviously important to pay attention to. But also, if you tend to mix up stuff a lot, like specific words, remember those and just pay attention whenever you're going to use that. So for example, for me, a lot of times I would say avec instead of mit in German. When I'm speaking German, I would just use avec in French, but with a German accent, which not what you want to do, and definitely not what you want to do in like an exam setting or in a class. So I practiced just whenever I'm speaking to just actually say mit and not let my brain go onto autopilot, because it's very easy, especially when you're excited, when you're emotional, or when you have a good thought, an idea that you want to share, to let your brain go to autopilot and have the language in the background and just communicate the idea, which is eventually your point and eventually is your goal, yes, but it takes a lot of time. And specifically when you're speaking for plus languages, you always have to be to some level present, otherwise your brain would just go to your most dominant, or if you're dominant in all of them equally, to your most recent language. So that was it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you also do some stuff that helps you not mix up your languages. Put them in the comments. I love you. Have a good time. Bye bye.